saves before Yao Felix tucked home a 56th minute winner. Barcelona are guaranteed to play to qualify from Group H with Porto and Shakhtar Donetsk, who are both 3 points behind, playing each other in their final game. Although they have not yet won the group, they will only need to avoid defeat against pointless Euro Antwerp, who gave up a good performance yesterday, but after the huffing and puffing, they could only settle for just a 1-0 defeat at the hands of their opponent. Talking about Shakhtar Donetsk in one of those early games. But the game that really brought up a lot of excitement and some controversy as well is the Paris Saint-Germain versus Newcastle game that saw some of the officials of Newcastle not very happy about what they termed as a denial of a very crucial victory. And of course, Ali McCoist, one of the stars of British football, branded that decision by the referee a disgrace, while Jermaine Jenas also said Newcastle were robbed as a controversial late penalty decision denied Eddie Howe's side a memorable victory at Paris Saint-Germain. Alexander Isak's first half goal in Tuesday's Champions League tie looked set to stun the host as missed chances and some big saves from Nick Pope gave the visitors some hope of their side, of course, reaching the knockout stage. But of course, at the end of it all, that double that they were dreaming to complete over Paris Saint-Germain couldn't be completed because of that late penalty call, which Paris Saint-Germain definitely converted. Let's give you results of other matches played yesterday night, and of course we'll call it a day on the show. Lazio defeated Celtic 2-0. Feyenoord lost at home 1-3 to Atletico Madrid, while AC Milan surprisingly lost at home as well to Borussia Dortmund, who have now taken a firm grip of that group. And even with the loss, AC Milan could still be guaranteed, could still see themselves going through to the next phase of the competition. And then of course in Group G, it was a 3-2 victory for Manchester City over Leipzig, while Young Boys surprisingly defeated Red Star Belgrade 2-0. Shakhtar Donetsk, we told you about that, beat Royal Antwerp 1-0, while Barcelona came back from a goal down to beat FC Porto 2-1. And today's fixtures will see Galatasaray versus Man United, Bayern Munich takes on FC Copenhagen, Sevilla versus PSV Eindhoven, while Arsenal could just need a draw to reach the last 16 as well. And they will be playing Lens, the only team to have beaten them in the first half of the group stage. And Real Madrid versus Napoli, that's a game to watch out for, as Victor Osimhen is expected to return to action as well after playing over the weekend. And SC Braga versus Union Berlin. These are all the matches coming up. But then of course we'll be taking a good analysis of these games later this morning at 11:05 when Now Sports summary comes your way. And that's it on Now Sports this morning. I am Nero Adeso, the midfield maestro, signing off, but urging you to stick around as David Chiedu will be right here for the rest of Now Breakfast. Good morning and have a lovely midweek.
To your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Be a part of our online community on Facebook. Like our page on www.facebook.com/This Is Radio Now to join every conversation on air and get up-to-date news information on the go.
This is your window to the world today.
To be able to stand here before you as your Prime Minister to say thank you for the trust you have given me is a little bit overwhelming.
It will forever remain an indelible light on human history that the apartheid crime ever occurred.
Today I want to speak directly to you, the people of Nigeria.
This is Now Global on Now Breakfast.
On Now Global this morning, the BBC reports, Al Jazeera reports 30 Palestinian women and children have been released from Israeli prisons after 10 Israelis and 2 foreign nationals were freed from Gaza. Now, Hamas has released 12 more hostages, and Israeli military and the International Committee of the Red Cross have said, as a shaky truce continues to hold in Gaza. The ICRC said that it successfully facilitated the release and transfer of 12 hostages out of Gaza via the Rafah crossing with Egypt on Tuesday, the 5th day of an extended 6-day truce between Israel and the Palestinian armed group in Gaza. Now, Palestinians in Gaza express hope that the Israel-Hamas truce will be extended further as they seek out much-needed aid, assess the destruction from Israeli bombardment. The heads of the CIA, that is the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, and Israel's Mossad have met in Qatar to discuss the extension of a truce between Israel and Hamas, as well as the captives being held by the Palestinian group in Gaza. Now, Tuesday was the first of a 2-day extension to a break in fighting that will run out in 24 hours time. Now, let's just say that this is more good news, as you were, having an extension. I mean, there's a good chance, I think, that we will see another 48-hour extension following the feelers ongoing right now. There's a chance that we're going to see another 48-hour extension that would be adequately, or rather effectively, agreed on by the two parties. Now, it is somewhat apparent that both sides seem to want the same thing, and by that I mean the truce or the extension. Yeah, as long as the process, as long as we have this process going more or less according to plan, with very little in the way of interruptions or challenges, as you were. It's not particularly clear at the moment the state of the negotiations that have been going on, but what is clear, what is known at the moment, is that they have been going on, and efforts to keep the truce going will also in the coming days intensify. But also it's worthy to know that when the process is over, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has given a hint that his troops are planning to continue their operation in Gaza with what he calls full force, and that is left to be seen anyway. But of course, in the moment, what I'm particularly, on a personal level, excited about is the fact that there is some reprieve, if you like, for the locals there who have been, or the civilians there who have been, largely plagued by what is happening between both sides. Yeah, of course. Now, away from that, let's go on to France 24. They report this morning. Sierra Leone is now treating Sunday's clashes that killed 21 people in the capital Freetown as a failed coup attempt. 13 military officers and 1 civilian are under arrest. Meanwhile, 11 miners lost their lives in South Africa when an elevator carrying 86 workers plunged 200 meters in a platinum mine. Now, to the Sierra Leonean story, this happened over the weekend, and of course what we heard then was that gunmen or armed men stormed prisons, set inmates free, that went on rampage and causing mayhem here and there, and they also attacked the country's armory. Some arrests were made, and there were hints of it being a coup and all of that, which is exactly what the Sierra Leonean government is treating it as in the moment. However, my concern, which still lingers, is the fact that a lot of these inmates are still at large, and who knows what they could be up to that could spell doom for the Sierra Leonean people and the government, as it were. But seeing as it's being treated as a coup gone wrong, I reckon it's going to be something that would keep them on the alert almost constantly, so that there wouldn't be any, if you like, any resurgence or any danger to the people of Sierra Leone and to the peace that is being enjoyed there. And just as we spoke to a local there, I reckon on Monday, he did say that you cannot totally detach it from, politics, as it were, which, a number of stakeholders as well still think is what is at play here. But hey, in any case, we're hoping that the peace will continue, and the government would, seeing as they are already, treating this the way that they are treating it now, would be, on full alert to make sure that there isn't any breakdown of law and order and danger to lives and property of hapless Sierra Leoneans. That's Now Global this morning here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. So stay close. Up next is the news update at 7. Good morning.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Across Nigeria, Africa, and the world, this is Radio Now News.
The news update here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos this morning, the 29th of November 2023. I am David Chiedu. The Lagos State Commissioner of Environment, Tokunbo Wahab, says the buildings demolished in Lekki and Ikota axis about 2 weeks ago had no approvals from the state government. Speaking in an interview with Arise Television over the uproar generated by the recent demolitions by the state government through the Ministry of Environment, the Commissioner, responding to a question on approval documentation by the building owners, said that if the owners had approvals, they should bring them forward. Responding to a question on which ministry or agency of government is responsible for building approvals and ensuring buildings are not erected in drainages, the Commissioner said that the duty falls within the purview of the state's physical planning ministry. He said also that the recent demolitions were necessitated by the petitions of about 12 villages taken to the governor on consistent floodings, and that owners of the affected buildings had consistently defied the state government's notices since 2020. And the appeal court sitting in Abuja has sacked the Nasarawa State House of Assembly Speaker Ibrahim Balarabe Abdullahi and declared Ibrahim Abdullahi Saad of the People's Democratic Party as the authentic winner of the March 18, 2023 speakership election in the state. The Daily Trust reports that there had been a battle between the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the State House of Assembly, Balarabe Abdullahi, who is representing Umaisha Ugia constituency in the State Assembly, and Daniel Ogazi, representing Kokona East constituency, over the speakership tussle, which led to the emergence of two speakers. And the Senate has passed 57 billion naira as the 2023 budget of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund. According to the budget, capital expenditure is to go up 47.02 billion naira, while total recurrent expenditure is put at 9.99 billion naira. The passage of the 2023 NPTF budget followed the consideration and adoption of the report of the Senate and House of Representatives Joint Committees on Police Affairs on the 2023 budget proposal of the NPTF by the Senate. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, says passport front offices are scheduled to open in some major cities across the United Kingdom, including Manchester, Birmingham and Cardiff, Wales, in 3 months. Speaking on last night's edition of Channels Television's Politics Today, the minister addressed the concerns of Nigerians in the diaspora over difficulties renewing their passport at foreign missions. According to him, Nigerians living in far-flung cities such as Edinburgh in Scotland, Cardiff in Wales and Belfast in Northern Ireland, as well as Manchester or Birmingham, have had to travel to London for their new passports. The minister also added that the challenge of passport renewal is experienced in London and New York due to the large numbers of Nigerians in the UK and the USA. Zeroing in on the UK, where several viral cases have been recorded, he argued that the only solution was to open passport front offices in key cities by February 2024. And on the foreign scene, at least 40 civilians were killed in a jihadist attack in the northern Burkina Faso town of Djibo over the weekend, according to the United Nations Human Rights Office. Burkina Faso, since 2015, has been caught in a spiral of jihadist violence perpetrated by rebels affiliated with the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda, which are also hitting neighboring Mali and Niger. The United Nations agency said that attacks on civilians were inexcusable and must stop, with those behind them apprehended and judged at a fair and independent trial. It also added that deliberate targeting of civilians constituted a war crime. And to sport, Erik ten Hag has urged his Manchester United players to keep calm when they face Galatasaray in Turkey as they fight to remain in the Champions League. United are bottom of Group A and will be eliminated if they lose in Turkey, and it is their second to last group fixture today. And that's the news at 7. That's the news update at 7 here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Many thanks for listening. Up next is Today in the News on Now Breakfast, which continues shortly. I am David Chiedu. Good morning.
This is Radio Now News.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Nah man, this subsidy removal na shege.
You're right. The price of sanitary pads have gone up.
Do you only need women to dance behind you at political rallies? Many women cannot afford to buy sanitary pads when they are on their monthly periods. Our girls in school call one way.
Many girls can no longer afford the important item for their menstrual hygiene.
Politicians suppose reason more.
This talk about sanitary pad is becoming a recurring matter. Don't worry. You, the women, will be part of the team to suggest how we can address the matter well.
My Period, My Pride radio drama. Now for we politicians to provide free pads for our girls for secondary school. My Period, My Pride. The story of Ife. Now sanitary pad media campaign power up with support from MacArthur Foundation
and Radio Now 95.3 FM. Coming to you every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Watch out.
On the The Interview, we speak with industry leaders about topical issues.
We are all in this together.
The first is high rate.
The Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation
touches on the very core.
Their work and their impact on Africa and Nigeria. And we'd love for you to listen. The Interview airs every Wednesday at 9:05 a.m. on your Beyond the News station, Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos.
It's time. This December, hang on to your hat for a scintillating radio experience. Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos presents The Rejig, featuring Now Breakfast, Now Midday, Now Express, and Now Drive Time. Brace yourself. The jig will get you. Coming soon.
Every Saturday on Radio Now 95.3 FM, listen and win awesome prizes on the My Period, My Pride radio drama giveaway. You could be the lucky winner for the week. To participate, simply listen to My Period, My Pride radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. and stand a chance to win by answering the questions correctly. Send your correct answers to our WhatsApp number 0809 682 2595. That is 0809 682 2595 with the hashtag MyPeriodMyPride. Be the winner on My Period My Pride radio drama giveaway. Again, it's Saturday 10 a.m. on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
In order to keep up with our culture of excellence and continue to bring you the very best of radio programming, we invite you, our dear esteemed listener, to share your concerns with us on any of our content and or broadcast practices that you consider unsatisfactory. You can reach us via WhatsApp on 0809 682 2595. That is 0809 682 2595. This is for us to get your feedback on our efforts to continue to build and maintain our relationship with you and also to serve you better. Thank you for choosing Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
Good morning. This is your daily security watch on Now Breakfast.
Hello there, Security Watch. This morning on Now Breakfast, no fewer than 11 persons identified as loggers have been reportedly beheaded by suspected Boko Haram insurgents in the Damboa local government area of Borno State. It was learned that the incident occurred on Monday near Bale, a remote village in Damboa, Iga. According to local vigilante sources, the bodies of the victims were recovered at the scene around 5 p.m. Police authorities in the state are yet to confirm the killings and the number of persons killed and detailed into the killings. Still on Security Watch, police authorities in Kebbi State have confirmed that 11 persons have lost their lives in a fatal motor accident along the Mayama Koko Road in the state. The accident, which happened on Monday, involves a DAF trailer driven by a yet-to-be-identified driver. Kebbi State Police spokesman Nafiu Abubakar said in a statement that on board the ill-fated vehicle were 65 passengers, all males, and from Sokoto. Besides the passengers, the trailer was also conveying bags of onions, bags of beans, and 6 motorcycles, as well as it traveling from Goronyo local government area of Sokoto to Niger State. And that's Security Watch this morning on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Many thanks for listening. Do stay tuned. More conversations following today in the news on Now Breakfast. Good morning.
Good morning. This is your daily Security Watch on Now Breakfast. Be a part of our online community on Facebook. Like our page on www.facebook.com/This is Radio Now to join every conversation on air and get up-to-date news information on the go.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Every second and every minute, something new happens. The news brings.
And angry mobs decided to bomb.
Everyone wants to share it, but not everyone wants to dig deep. Now that's where we come in. We bring you the news and go beyond with in-depth conversations and analysis with stakeholders.
I honestly think that the federal government on its own part has
if voters or more people want to be part of that decision-making process, they need to be part.
It is not a good measure of development anyways. We are not there. We need to counter the narrative of the fact that our vote does not count. If your vote does not count.
We bring you the story within the story, and that's what makes us tick. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, and we go beyond the news.
From the north to the south, real people.
So like I said to you, it's some serious elements of the outgoing issue of my party whose tenure elapsed, who are pleading with me to endorse an illegal extension, and I refuse to be a part of any illegalities.
Real stories every morning.
Most of the IDP, they stay in schools, and once they move in schools, when there is a disaster, the school in that area is automatically shut down.
This is Today in the News on Now Breakfast.
Today in the news, it is, and it was rather, a surreal experience for the passengers of the United Nigeria aircraft that landed in a destination different from what was expected. From that, multiple reactions trailed the particular landing of that United Nigeria aircraft in Asaba, Delta State, instead of in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, on Saturday. Now, the airline hours after the incident says the flight was diverted due to bad weather, but the aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, says that the reason that incident happened wasn't because of the aforementioned reason, but it was because the pilot who flew the airline, a wet lease by the way, were foreigners and didn't understand the Nigerian terrain. This morning we get a better sense of the industry standards with regards to the situation, and we're joined by an aviation analyst, Mr. Olumide Onwayo. Morning, Mr. Onwayo. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, can you give us a sense of the process or processes involved in flying and landing a plane, first of all? What is involved, and what do I need to understand, or rather, do I need to understand, being a pilot, that is, if I were one, do I need to understand the local terrain to be able to fly in its airspace?
Understanding the local terrain is an added advantage, and also might be useful in critical safety hours. If you remember the Dana crash that ended up at Ishaga, that aircraft was also flown by a foreigner. But if there was that aircraft was flown by a local pilot who has good knowledge of the Lagos terrain, he would have looked at that Iju Canal which is also closer to him that the trying to get to the airport. He would have rather the aircraft into that canal, that wide canal, rather than trying to ensure he gets to the airport door. Because that was actually trying to get the aircraft to the airport. Because the airport, when that happened, and the aircraft kept dropping. So I think if it was a local pilot, that man would have looked at that wide into canal and said, "Oh, there's a big canal there on my way to Lagos. What is that thing that just like the Hudson River?" You know, that's one of the examples of knowing local terrain. Again, in this case, knowing local terrain is contributory, not the main reason for that aircraft going to Asaba and not Abuja. It's contributing because contributing in the sense that if you know you're going to Abuja, and by the time you take off, you're going by the books, yes, what was given to you, and the book was leading you to a route not Abuja. You probably have to call the control tower and say, "Look, I need to change course because this content I'm taking is not taking me to where the terrain I know that I'm actually going to Abuja." They could have corrected it. But you see, the pilot worked with the documentation that was given to him by the flight dispatcher. It's the flight dispatcher that prepared the document for the pilot that takes on board. We used to have so many information like the fuel intake, weather condition, route and timing, and what will happen there, and the time to take, where to go from a destination, where you go from a destination to, and and all that. So many information, operational information. So the foreign pilot on that West aircraft only use the information given to him in the document handed over to him. So, and the document handed over to him was written in ABB. ABB means Asaba Airport. Why Abuja is ABB?
So it was clear that it was the error on their part.
On the first part. This is not the first time. Even after 2020, this happened also in England. A BA Princess aircraft that took off from London that was supposed to go to Düsseldorf ended up landing in Scotland. Based on the documentation given to the pilot. The pilot was not the foreigner. It was a British pilot, but it was on the documentation. It was on landing. It was on landing in Scotland that we realized that why I'm supposed to be in Düsseldorf. And what they had to do, like the Desert Airlines crew was get more fuel. It took off and dropped the passengers in Düsseldorf family.
Mr. Owanyo, is it statutory, according to aviation standard, for there to be a local also flying, despite the fact that whoever it is that is the lead chair might be a foreigner? Is it statutory that he or she must have, a local as the second chair?
Because it's a wet lease, you cannot have a local as second chair. What the owner of the aircraft is giving with the cabin, cockpit crew, maintenance, and insurance, all refunded by the owner of the aircraft who is using that aircraft. You can't have somebody on the jump seat. The jump seat is about the top seat in the cabin, or that observer. Then you cannot put the local there.
I'm saying so because I do not remember the last time I flew with a local pilot. I've flown twice this year, same thing. 3 times last year, same thing. I have no recollection whatsoever of flying with a local pilot. That's why I asked that question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, but there's been a surge in the number of foreign pilots in the domestic airspace, and that was why the president of the Association of the National Association of the Pilots and Engineers came out last year. Over 200 of their members are unemployed. I see some of them, in one of the programs of the Organized Association, they are insurance people. They come around, say they've had their license for the cannot fly. They don't have to go after the country again, get the extra licenses to get if they can fly. So as you wonder, there's so many extras not flying, and the foreigners are here flying. So if it's not on wet lease, it better drive this or own like airline. But why are we having foreigners? Well, the owners of airline are complaining about the loyalty of the Nigerian crew. That the Nigerian crew when after being trained and given the job, he just walk away after 3 months, 4 months to another airline, and then he just throw at 100,000 above what they are paid, what is paid. And they look at this person has not considered how much I've spent in training and getting in satisfied to that client, all because somebody is going to be an extra. So they complain about the loyalty, and because of that loyalty, they're always supposed to get bring in the foreigner, who they sign a contract with, make a contract 1 year or 2 years, and the others and obey.
All right. Now, Mr. Olumide, you also mentioned, what the authorities had, spoken about, which is the case here, talking about a wet lease arrangement. Just for better understanding for the listener, what is a wet lease arrangement, and what are the best, what is, if you like, the best global practice with regard to operating a wet lease?
A wet lease arrangement is the type of aircraft leasing that comes with the aircraft crew. It oftentimes referred to as the ACMI, aircraft crew maintenance and insurance. All this package, because this is what makes an aircraft to fly. For an aircraft to fly is scheduled to fly, you must have its maintenance, you must have its insurance, and you must have its crew. All in all working, the owner of the aircraft that provides the ACMI. And when they provide the ACMI, if I'm bringing in an aircraft from Lithuania, obviously you expect that almost all the crew on that side will be Lithuanian pilots. And we're moving towards the Russian citizens, the defensive citizens now, whereby we have increased passengers who coming into Nigeria and who flying a lot to their home state for the EU side. So oftentimes our airlines need more aircraft during this period to augment the Russian demand.
Right.
Again, we have noticed that of late, due to the scarcity of the dollar and the high cost of operational costs, most airlines who are earning that are very, very difficult to get that dollar. That they cannot buy. They cannot afford to buy an aircraft. And in most of these arrangements, due to a bad behavior of the past, most lessors are not willing to try and lease an aircraft to you. What I mean dry lease, there is giving an aircraft without the crew and material. Just give you the aircraft and you take care of the ACMI. Because of the problems in the past of retrieving their aircraft. So often the best offer that is given to operators right now are the ACMI, the what is rather than the dry lease or even the dark lease. But the dark lease involves having both the foreign crew and the Nigerian crew. Maybe that should be an option that should look at now.
Okay. Now, let's just talk very briefly, in a few seconds if you can. This whole idea of having a carrier, I mean, it was brokered by the previous administration, the previous aviation minister under the previous administration of Mr. Buhari. Much was desired of the move, especially seeing as it started back in, 2018. What can you say about the operation so far?
You mean the Nigerian Air?
Yes.
Well, if you listen to the minister for the last 40 hours, he said he has forwarded his report to the Mr. President, and he's awaiting Mr. President's approval or disapproval. But looking at his body language and his business comment, you can be rest assured that the Nigerian Air will get on arrival. It might still be there, but not as presently considered or populated by the immediate past Minister of Aviation. He has complained about the managerial structure. Okay. He has complained about the tax-free tax waiver for 5 years for Ethiopian Airlines. Who will that compete with those paying taxes and who does that? I think for your station, I've been there before. I've spoken about the illegality and the bad corporate policies that have been put together to ensure that airlines are corporate for that airline.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Nwayo, for joining us.
Thank you.
Mr. Olumide Owayo is an aviation analyst, and he's given us his thoughts on the sense of getting a better sense, rather, of the industry standards with regards to the United Nigeria airline that derailed, or if you like, that landed in a wrong destination. Of course, reasons were given, but of course had been dispelled by the authorities. More conversations coming up shortly.
This is Now Breakfast.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Babes, now must be sanitary pad for your area.
Omo, na play we been dey play before. Everybody wey dey this place wey be human being, na pad dey buy take do period. She go bring her wrapper, cut all her wrapper wey she get. They use dey do period. Which kind of nonsense be this?
Ijoma, see what you are saying to your fellow woman who is in need. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ti pọ̀jù.
Na so they use cloth now. Abi we no go chop first.
Auntie Ijoma, what did my mommy ever do to you? It's not fair.
Now, if a story be this, My Period, My Pride radio drama, Season 1. Now, Sanitary Pad Media Campaign Power Up with support from MacArthur Foundation
and Radio Now 95.3 FM every Saturday at 10 a.m.
From the north to the south, real people.
So like I said to you, it's some serious elements of the outdone end of issue of my party whose tenure elapsed, who are pleading with me to endorse an illegal extension, and I refuse to be a part of any illegality.
Real stories every morning.
Most of the IDPs, they stay in schools, and once they move in schools, when there is a disaster, the school in that area is automatically shut down.
This is Today in the News on Now Breakfast.
Still today in the news, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will attend the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference, also known as COP28 Climate Summit in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. He will speak at the conference to call for increased financial and technical support for developing nations and also explore establishing new and deeper bilateral partnerships to implement Nigeria's energy transition and Article 6 projects. The conference is a gathering of world leaders, activists, multinational organizations, and other stakeholders where progress made to tackle climate change is measured and also to negotiate multilateral responses to climate change. This morning, we'll discuss what Mr. President's attendance of this event means for the country. Climate change and data journalist Mr. Kehinde Ogunyele joins us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Ogunyele. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Right. What does this mean for us? I mean, Mr. President going there to attend this year's COP. What does it mean, first of all?
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show. I think it's a good one. I got to hear of the news yesterday night, and this is going to be the second time we're having the President of Nigeria attending the COP meetings. We had former President Muhammad Buhari attend that, I think, 2 years ago. That was in COP 26. And we're having Tinubu himself now attending. Now, note that this is a gathering of several world leaders, right? So we're having the first person of Nigeria represent means a lot in Nigeria, means a lot of how many negotiations and discussions we are going to have, means a lot to the commitment that we're going to put into us, means a lot to several efforts to generate or internalize reports, recommendations, financing, and so on. So having the president attend, I think, is a very, very, very good effort to. This is not the first time, and it's really even up to a year, and no need to attend this conference. So I think it's a very, very good one coming from the president.
All right, so one of the agenda for Mr. President's attending that event will be to get more investment for our energy, energy transition plan, rather. So will his attending the conference have any influence on our ability to attract said investment?
Yeah, I think that, in Nigeria we have had issues with energy crisis, right? And we had this commitment that for 2030 we were going to increase our renewable energy, that's transitioning into renewable energy, to about 35%. So the president going there is to see how we can look at this, both in saying that he's tracking our finances and pulling out finances and seeing how we can tap into several financing options, right? To see that we come into we achieve that renewable energy plan. And I must say that going for a country of Nigeria with over an estimated population of about 200 million, you know that I think the latest data says that about 93 million, if I'm not mistaken, about 19 million have poor access to energy. Right? So we have almost half of the population that don't have energy. Those that have having problems, probably this energy are probably generating a lot of fossil fuel outside. So we are most likely depending on generators, depending on powered gases. So I think that one of the goal of Nigeria is to see how we can tap into finances around renewable energy. I look forward to whatsoever the president is going to say, because then it doesn't it's not really about what we say,
right?
And it's not really about what we want, but how we can get it and how we can implement it at the end of the day. Yeah, I give you a good insight. Last year at the COP meeting, right, we had this agenda to plant over 250,000 trees. Yeah, there was a promise here to plant over 250,000 trees. And as we speak right now, we don't even know of the plan. So it's not about talking, right? We need to take climate conversations into implementation. And that's one of the problems that we're recalling, right, in every COP meeting that has translated over the years. That, okay, we talk about loss and damage, we talk about renewable energy, we talk about fossil fuel transition, and we are not seeing, and we talk about finances, and even the yearly annual target of $100 billion, right? We're not seeing and being proactive and paying their contributions. We're not seeing developed countries tapping into all this, contributing to this, but we're not seeing developed contributing to this for developing countries. So there are things that beyond the conversation, we need to now start talking about implementation, and I hope that the COP28 of this year will even be more of implementation report than conversations.
Right. Now, climate advocates recently have welcomed the proposal by African leaders for a global carbon tax. This, they say, should help tackle the impact of climate change on the continent. However, the continent represents just about 17% of the global population, and it produces only about 4% of the global carbon emissions. So what are the implications of this, with such a tax and all of that, and using the Nigerian context, considering we have a lot of emitters?
Yeah, so it's almost very funny that African as a continent, right? And that's why we had the whole African Climate Summit some months back, right? To unify the voice of Africans to what we really want to achieve in COP, right? So, yeah, it's so funny that African as a continent contributes very less to climate change capacity, and yes, we are the one there of the body. Between last year to this year, we have several flooding events. Nigeria specifically, and the flooding event displaced over 1.4 million people, destroyed over 3,000 houses, 300,000 houses. And I think in agricultural investments, there's over 700 billion, if I'm not mistaken, 700 billion agricultural investments, right? So we suffer a lot because and we are not contributing less to this thing. I give you a practical example. Check our GDP report that was released very recently. Oil, we generate very less on oil, even though oil plays a very significant role in how in the operationalization of finances in Nigeria, right? So we are not really emitting much, but then we suffer the brunt, and that's why conversations around loss and damage started. Conversations around supporting developing countries with climate financing started. So if we can, and that's the hope, and I hope to see that conversation being championed. If we can, I mean, we have had the African Climate Summit, right? If we can unite our voice as Africans and as Africans leader, and thank God Nigeria, which means the largest continent in Africa, we're having the president going. We can unite our voices together to say, okay, this is our stand as Africans. This is what we want in investment to focus transition, and you almost take it that, like, for Nigerian context, we can't do the total fossil fuel transition, right? We have to do the best that we can work with in phases. So if we can, as Africa, talk about our proper steps to fossil fuel transition and finances around it, if we can talk about renewable, how we can transition into renewable energy, if we can, as much as possible, drive much investment or finances in loss and damages, and see that developed countries are putting down finances appropriately that can help these developing countries, especially African countries, to adapt to this thing and obviously mitigate later effects. If we can, as a united continent, start those conversations, I think we'll be doing well in several communities, because we can't have individual countries just going there and say, we want in our country. At the end of the day, we all build the ground at the continent.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the
program. Thank you very much.
Kehinde Ogunyale is a climate and data journalist who joined us this morning to discuss Mr. President's attending of the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference and what it does mean for the Nigerian economy vis-a-vis our energy transition plan. Stay close, more conversations coming up, and next it is Brands Now.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on these websites: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Announcer, FSRCC.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Every second and every minute, something new happens. The news brings.
3 people at a spot, and angry mob decided to bomb.
Everyone wants to share it, but not everyone wants to dig deep.
Now that's where we come in. We bring you the news and go beyond with in-depth conversations and analysis with stakeholders.
I honestly think that the federal government on its own part has
if voters or more people want to be part of that decision-making process, they need to be part
of it. Is not a good measure of development anyways. We are not there yet. We need to counter the narrative of the fact that that vote does not count. If your vote does not count.
We bring you the story within the story, and that's what makes us tick. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, and we go beyond the news.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
Still on Now Breakfast this morning, we turn our attention to Brands Now, where we have Fontana Health Care Card, which is a medical emergency health card, a product of Fontana Society. And they join us this morning. We're being joined by Dr. Oluwatosin Fola-Rogers, the business director of Fontana Health Card. Joins us. Good morning, Dr. Fola-Rogers. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you give us a sense of the product? What is it, and what does it do for the ones who get it?
Well, Fontana Health Card is the first medical emergency health card in Nigeria. It focuses on medical emergency, and it helps cardholders to pay for emergency treatments, needed medications, needed tests and examinations, and required allied services. The card can be used by you or anyone of your choice. It's
go on.
It allows users and healthcare providers to overcome challenges that they meet in the process of accessing and providing quality health care. The most significant aspect of the card is that it is an emergency card. You don't have to think of anything about money once you have the card. Imagine when somebody has an emergency, an accident, and you are taken to the hospital. The first thing is, go and buy blood, go and do this, go and do that. With this card, you just don't even need to think about money once you are registered on the program. All you need to do is to carry your card with you.
And how does the registration, or what does it look like, and where does it apply? Any hospital?
Well, we have chosen the best hospitals across Nigeria. Our focus is to give quality health care. The standard that is expected from big hospitals will be achieved. When the client insists on his or our own hospital, we allow that. But where that hospital does not meet the standards of our required international standard, we try as much as possible to get a very good hospital nearest to that client.
Okay, so what is the difference between Fontana Health Card and the regular health insurance scheme that are available?
Okay. Well, there are so many. I'll just mention a few. The main card holder can add 3 other beneficiaries who don't necessarily have to bear the same surname like you have in the HMOs. It could be your extended family, it could be your church member, it could be your neighbor, it could be your friend or acquaintance from the hospital. Another thing is the hospital does not need to look for approval before you get your treatment. Now, we don't determine or fix how much you can spend for a particular treatment. Our goal is not to watch people die because of lack of money. It is for emergency healthcare services. It's not for routine health check when you just feel like you feel sick and you want to go for consultation in your hospital. It is to save lives at the time of need.
Interesting. All right, so how do we get this and where?
Well, we deploy the best technology to make it seamless. What you need to do is to go to our website, register, do your payments, and immediately you do that, you are covered from that moment. And then a few days after, you get your card. It's a case of technology meeting healthcare services. Whether it is in township or in rural areas, we all know that there is quick uptake of technology. People can use their phone. Even when you don't know what to do, you can go to business centers, they can register you. That is how easy it is to get.
Okay, so what is that website that you spoke about?
It's www.fontanasociety.com.
Again?
www.fontanasociety.com.
Is there a number, a contact or something that you can be reached?
Yes, the contact number is 090-2244-2197.
All right. Thank you very much. But by the way, you might want to say that again so that someone doesn't miss out on it.
Okay, you want me to say that again?
The numbers, so that someone gets it.
The numbers. Also, I think I need to quickly tell you about the levels of cards available. As low as 250,000, you are covered or you are guaranteed for a care of 2 million worth of treatment in 1 year. For 350,000, you are guaranteed 3 million worth of treatment, and for 500,000, you are guaranteed a treatment of 5 million in 1 year. The card is renewable every year. Once the value of your card is exhausted, then you need to renew.
Okay, so the contact number again?
090-2244-2197.
All right then. Thank you very much, Dr. Fola Rogers, for joining us this morning on Brands Now. That's Brands Now here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Up next is the news review. Do stay close.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
News and information go around every second. The ones who deliver it and how matter. We give you depth, substance from the real sources.
I made statements in that regard, and the first point I called was the National Working Committee.
There wasn't any agreement between Bashir Machina and Ahmad Lawan.
The DPO, the Divisional Police Officer who is on grounds there, went there.
Also giving you a more human angle on the events that matter.
They are not people that live in mansions, but they are people that live in the localities, and the people are afraid to.
We had so many issues there in area boys. Then we now went to.
Let's cut the convention and rather have a conversation. Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos. We go beyond the news.
Be a part of our online community on Facebook. Like our page on www.facebook.com/This is Radio Now to join every conversation on air and get up-to-date news information on the go.
It's time. This December, hang on to your hat for a scintillating radio experience. Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos presents
The Rejig. Featuring Now Breakfast, Now Midday, Now Express, and Now Drive Time. Brace yourself. The jig will get you. Coming soon.
It's midday, yeah? But it's redefined. It's the best of everything. Color up your midday with the right serving of goodness. We're talking insightful interviews,
with global prevalence,
refreshing conversations, thrilling sports stories, and delightfully soothing great music. All on your Beyond the News station. It gets better and invigorating every moment on The Midday Show. Tune in to The Midday Show every weekday, 9 a.m. on Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos. The issues are all around us, but who talks about them? Law enforcement breaking the law, property owners ripping off tenants, political office holders taking the electorate for granted, or is it the plague of recurring bad policies made by the government? These are the issues. Let's talk about these and more at the Round Table. Stay locked on to Radio Now 95.3 FM every weekday as we discuss these hot topics around us on The Round Table on Now Express. The Round Table, weekdays, 5:30 p.m.
For every news story, there's more.
So we can write the best security architecture plan, but it remains an essay until it becomes manifest on ground.
More detail.
Every time you are doing reform, even when we were doing it 2006, 2007, the question is also that it's not the right time. When will be the right time?
More than just the headline. This is News Extra on Radio Now 95.3 FM. This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
This is Now Breakfast.
Let's go beyond the news. Let's talk facts.
First and foremost, the government will never kowtow to the threat of any group to give it conditions.
Let's discuss your opinion.
The politicians in Nigeria don't understand the principle of politics.
The day's biggest news stories.
IPOB has been covered in themselves in glory. There is nothing special about them. It's like a witch cried at night and the child died falling money.
This is the news review on Now Breakfast.
Yes, indeed, it is the news review this morning, a midweek edition of the program. It's day number 29 in November 2023. I am David Chiedu, and I am delighted to welcome you again to another session. Professor Anthony Killer is with us this morning. Good morning, Professor. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everybody.
Right on. And reckon you can get your thoughts in. The numbers are 091 35000 953, 0901 111 1953, and on WhatsApp 0809 682 2595. On the other side of the headlines, by the way, we're going to get into your thoughts. But yes, Professor, first of all, before we get to the stories, how's it going? How has the week been so far? Has it been uber fast or the otherwise?
Well, I think for me personally, until Wednesday, the week is in preparation of this Wednesday meeting we have with you, David. So everything has been geared towards speaking to you on Wednesday morning.
Now you see how Professor,
the essence of my living.
You see how Professor is trying to butter me up, right? That's telling of the kind of Mac that he is. Professor, you keep that up, I will give you everything I own in this life and in the life beyond. Anyway, let's get to the stories.
Keep doing that.
Right. Let's get to the stories. So we would start with what the Daily Trust is reporting. A few interesting stories there, particularly the big headline on there. But before we get to the big headline, the Daily Trust reports on a story which broke over the weekend that saw an airline that was supposed to end up in Abuja ending up in Asaba. So airlines must pay compensation for cancelled or delayed flights, the federal government says. Subscribers grumble over data depletion rate that is still on the Daily Trust. And the big headline there, Tinubu seeks fresh 7.1 trillion naira loan. That is the headline. The riders underneath that, to fund agric, health, road, water resources, water sectors, beg your pardon. Nigeria's debt hits 94 trillion naira. Rising debt profile worrisome. Must expand revenue base, experts say. Now, Professor, we have an existing debt profile of about 87 or thereabout. Now, with an additional 7+ trillion, it's going to see us at 94+. How do you feel about that, sir?
Well, I mean, nobody like debt. You know, it's human nature not to like debt. You know, Shakespeare went on to teach us, you know, not to be neither a lender nor a borrower. But Shakespeare was neither an economist nor an analyst of business affairs. So we have to be careful. I think whilst one cannot go out happily, if you look at it, nobody bragged about their debt. You know, people tend to brag about their assets. Actually, people who have real assets don't brag. It's people who have a few that shouts, you know, look at me, I've got something. But the situation we have at hand in reality is that the country's broke. You know, when some of us were saying this thing, it was as if one was anti-Buhari or something. Now the new people are there and they're saying what we were saying. You know, the discovery of hot water, really, because it's now even obvious. The country is very broke, so money is needed. I think question is not really, we've gone beyond if we need money. It's what we do. We have two questions. Number one is, what do we do with the money we can get? And perhaps number two, how do we get it? So in terms of the loan, one cannot blame them for trying to get a loan. They need it. The question is, what do they do with it? If you want, there's another way to say how else can money be raised.
That is the question on the minds of many Nigerians, actually.
Well, yes, and here we go to, you know, very ideological and, you know, sort of ideal value-based mindset. You know, depending who you are as an economist. There are some people like myself, Anthony Killer, who before going to borrow would think of a lot of other alternatives. Like, for example...
Okay, Professor, can you give us the other alternatives after the headlines? So we go into the headlines and very quickly we go back to your thoughts. This is a news review on Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos, and we're going to continue with the conversation on the other side of the 8 o'clock headlines. Stay close.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Across Nigeria, Africa and the world, this is Radio Now News.
The headlines at 8 this morning on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. In local news, demolished buildings in Lekki and Ikota had no approvals from Lagos State, says Commissioner. Appeal Court sacks Nasarawa Speaker, declares PDP candidate winner. Senate passes 57 billion naira budget for Police Trust Fund. Passport front offices to open across United Kingdom February 2024, Minister says. And in economy and business, Nigeria's oil output rises 30% to 1.6 million barrels per day. And on the foreign scene, at least 40 civilians killed in Burkina Faso attack, says United Nations. And In sports, Ten Hag urges Manchester United to keep calm in Galatasaray cauldron. And that's the headlines this hour on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Many thanks for joining us. I am David Chiedu. Now breakfast continues with the news review. Good morning.
This is Radio Now News.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
You're listening to Now Breakfast. Let's go beyond the news. Let's talk facts.
First and foremost, the government will never kowtow to the threat of any group to give it conditions.
Let's discuss your opinion.
The politicians in Nigeria don't understand the principle of politics.
The day's biggest news stories.
IPOB has been covered in themselves in glory. There is nothing special about them. It's like a witch cried at night and the child died falling money.
This is the news review on Now Breakfast.
Welcome back inside the news review this morning. It's Now Breakfast. You're still listening to, and I am David Chiedu. The numbers are 091 35000 953. That is 091 35000 953. You want to have those saved on speed dial. 0901 111 1953, and on WhatsApp. Readily available. As I always say, you have them saved, they will save you. 0809 682 2595. And Professor Anthony Killer is still with us, and he was about to give us his thoughts on alternatives to borrowing as far as the Nigerian government and seeking for funds is concerned, because this one has drawn concern from here and there. Experts talking about how much we've incurred so far, particularly from the previous administration, and how much of this we do not need, and how it's going to hurt us, and all of that. Plus, the indicators of development are pretty thin, so to speak. We aren't particularly seeing a commensurate, if you like, developmental stride as you want to, place them side by side with the monies that have been collected so far in debt. Professor Anthony Killer, you were, about to tell us more with regards to this.
Yes, I mean, let us keep firm the fact that money is needed and the money is not there. So the question is, how do we raise money if we do not want to incur debt? Number one way to do it is perhaps to privatize some of the assets of the state. Then you can go to different kind of privatization. The important thing is that you want to use them to generate money. You can either sell them off or lease them for a very long time, and so to raise enough money for what you want to do. And I say this, I want people to listen to what I say and keep using the mantra. Then once you get the money, use it judiciously. That is what matters. And I also think at the moment, one should focus on financing capital projects that would generate wealth and job, not just something that would be used, will be consumed, and that's the end of it. That's a very crucial thing. But another thing to do besides privatization is to actually reduce our spending. The government for the state needs to look at its coffers and say, what can we trim down? This is a tough measure, because but when you say this, people's mind go to cost of governance and some frivolous, if not vexatious things like the cars. Yes, those are important symbolically. It shows human business. But let me tell Nigerians that, very frankly speaking, the cost of those cars are vexatious, but really they're not going to change the trajectory of our budget. But it's a good symbolic thing. You cannot be struggling to pay for food and medicine at home, and one of your spouses, either the husband or the wife, to be politically correct, but you know who my mind is going to, and the children are still insisting that they have their pedicure done in times of that kind of problem. The money of pedicure is not going to change the life of the family, but it shows seriousness. So we need to cut out some frills to show seriousness, and we need to cut out something that we can afford. The other thing we need to do is perhaps to chase private participation for what we need the money for. To be very serious on that, because if we need the money to grow farms, to build roads, to construct bridges or rail, then an option we can do is, instead of looking for money to do it, is to look for people who have money to do it. Get them to do it, and then let them see how they're going to get that reward back. So instead of a loan, we put available the facility for them and say, build the roads, build the bridges, build the rail, and people will pay toll for it, and then you get your money. So that's a kind of private participation. Again, under that, there are various methods. You have the build and operate, build and transfer, continuous partnership. You need to look at those kind of things. Then another thing you can look at, is very strong fiscal policies that will attract and encourage investors, attract new ones and encourage existing ones. If our task is to raise money, get people into jobs, create wealth, then government can sit down with existing companies and say, what exactly is the problem? Why are you not employing people? Why are you not creating? But then you work with them to do that. There are some very basic things that can be done. For example, once you put employers of labor in the right place, businesses in the right position in the society, i.e., when you look at them as a fulcrum of growth and development, generation of prosperity and progress, you can then work with them to help subsidize a lot of things. So I've always said the same. Imagine if every business in Nigeria, either by choice or once they have more than a few number of employees, that's the way to gauge them, or in terms of their profit or income generally. I repeat, either by choice or by understanding, they decide to adopt one school near them, and they say, this school, we shall be helping you with some basic things. That will reduce tremendously our budgets in education while growing our citizenship, i.e. our children, our tomorrow, to get decent place to study, decent education. So we have to think that way if we do not like debt or we want to reduce it. But again, as I said, it's ideological and idealistic. My listeners will know where I'm coming from as an economist, how my mind works.
Now, earlier, Professor, you spoke about privatization. I'm particularly, fixated, if you want to use that word, on some of the ones that have been privatized in the past. The likes of NIPOST and the NPA and the rest of them. NACO as well. I'm not particularly certain that their operation at the moment is what one could describe as fully, in a manner of speaking, productive. Lots of experts, including yourself, have talked about privatizing a lot of our assets and whatnot, just to raise revenue and whatnot. But I'm just speaking as a layman. Can you say that so far it has actually given us what we initially intended for it to give us?
No, you're not speaking like a layman. You're speaking like an informed and dangerous man. Because what you're saying is absolutely true. You're using facts to scare me. But let's take it rational. I get what you mean. We don't have a strong history of good privatization because there's a tendency for the political class to share the goodies amongst their cronies rather than give it to those who can actually do the job. Yes, that is a fact. But, just because you went out once and one was robbed or the rain destroyed your plan doesn't mean you never go out again. It just means you need to get umbrellas and be serious. With the people, we voted at very little we can do. We can, keep tabs on government. We just have to hope that, the people are serious enough to get the right thing done. Then perhaps the media can keep scrutinizing to say, look, you said you're going to privatize it. What are the criteria for those that will be involved? And are we sure we're giving it to the right people? That is the kind of mindset perhaps we need to be looking for. the risk is there. You're very right. Hence, you're being dangerous because you're using facts and very clear logic. It's very difficult to, to counter what you say because that's history, that's fact. The risk is there. We just have to hope that somehow we get men of character, capacity, and commitment to goodness, men and women.
All right. Listen, the numbers are 091 35000 953 0901 111 1953. We are starting, or we've started out with talking about the decision of Mr. President to go borrowing further. What we know about the figures is that is going to amount to a total of 7+ trillion naira. So, he's seeking the approval to borrow 8,699. This is me being very specific right now. $8,699,168,559 and 100 million euros in total to execute critical projects across the country, which would essentially put the figures at 7,738,729,598 naira. Yes, so his request is contained in a letter at the commencement of plenary on Tuesday, or was contained in the letter rather, at the commencement of said plenary yesterday, and read there by the Senate President. Ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts? Do we need this? Do we not need this? Professor has given us his thoughts on what he thinks is the way forward, because that essentially has been the question, coming from many Nigerians, is whether or not we do need it. And if there's a way we can get alternatives, or we can fashion out alternatives, why not go for that? Why keep borrowing and, increasing our debt? Because you put that all together, and what we would have subsequently is 94 trillion naira, because what we have is 87 at the moment. 091 35000 953 0901 111 1953. Those are the numbers to call. Reckon this started in the previous administration under Mr. Buhari, former President Buhari, that is, and but of course the concerns remain the same. Monies were collected here and there, but there is very little to show for it. Where do we go from here? That is the question. And it personally, I worry that it might be one debt too many, albeit the debt in itself is not all bad, but the implementation or the use, if you like, of said debt is mostly the problem. John joins us this morning from Lekki. Good morning, John.
Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Good morning, Professor. Personally, I've made my peace with the fact that the APC has absolutely no single sense of economic intelligence in any of their members. I've made my peace with that, because I do not understand how the entire political party that has been in government for going to almost 9 years now cannot have the political intelligence and economic intelligence to see that private borrowing will just put our future generations in jeopardy. When the PDP government came into power, one of the first things they did in terms of revenue generation was to do big rounds in oil and gas, in telecommunications. And by the time the PDP was done with that exercise, they had the likes of MTN, Econet, all bringing millions of dollars to buy licenses. At the end of the day, that exercise gave rise to a company that is registering for the first time in Nigeria's history trillions of naira in profit. And it's public knowledge. Under the part of the APC government, our crude, which is the mainstay of our economy, was being stolen. Millions of millions of barrels of oil stolen under their watch. And they say they're looking for money. Why can't they do bid rounds for oil and gas concessions and get people to come and pay for those licenses? There are people all over the world that would be so ready to give millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to pay for acreages in Nigeria's rich oil and gas Niger Delta, and give them revenue that they will use to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians. They all know what they'll do with the money when they borrow is to pay themselves, to buy SUVs. There is absolutely no modicum of economic intelligence in the entire APC. And I'm ashamed of the kind of people who continually support this fact, to continually put Nigerians in short penury. I mean, there are so many ideas. I mean, the young people of Nigeria have been so disenfranchised from the economic mainstream that they started an entire industry on their own. Entertainment, IT, and they're making such great strides in those areas. Why can't this government, for once, sit down and think about a better way than to go and be borrowing? When other governments came into power, they got so much goodwill from the international community that they went off our debt. I dare any of the APC members to go out there and actually for debt situation. I dare them and see how they will laugh them the way they laugh Donald Trump at the United Nations. It's such a beautiful thing to be thinking that we have a government that can think. All to do is to raise parochial sentiment during the election time. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Professor, John raises quite the point where he talks about, the international community coming over and, making sundry investments and all of that. I'm worried because, President Tinubu has made frequent trips, frequent international travels it's more like the cornerstone of his administration at this point in time to garner support for the economy. In other words, bring in FDIs. But I will continue with that very shortly. Chike joins us from Apapa. Good morning, Chike.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Let's have your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question. I just want to ask you your best question. Whether if you think the way things are going on, are we headed in the right direction? And in next 4 years, do you think anything can change for better, if not for worse? Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, Professor Chike just wanted to ask you that question. You want to answer him?
Well, I think we really know where we're going yet. In my personal view, we have to see. But I notice some kind of hope and even confidence in the president, in the governor of the central bank, and some of the ministers. I think the situation where we are is like going past the kitchen and you see people chopping onions and chopping pepper and, putting some sauce here and there. You think, okay, let's see what's going to happen. Unless you know some of the chefs or, some people cooking, you can predict what's going to happen. So there's some people who are saying, this man did well in the past, this woman did well in the past, so we expect the food to be good. But let's say they're still chopping what is going to be cooked. So we cannot say if the food is going to be good or yet. We have no choice but to wait and pray. And perhaps, keep tabs on them and tell them when they take the wrong step and say, no, I disagree with this. Those who can.
Okay, right, so back to John's concerns, which I was going to, expatiate more on. I was talking about Mr. President going on trips to, seek, or if you like, attract FDIs, but the people before him, in the Fourth Republic had, only consistently had their overtures decline, essentially. Investment inflows were not particularly successful in some cases, to show for their numerous travels. And now that the Treasury is bleeding, so to speak, isn't it time that Mr. President realizes that making the country safe and viable for citizens and also for prospective investors is the way to go? Essentially that magnetizes investments rather than, globetrotting?
Well, yes, I think, no, the two things do not exclude each other. Let's put it this way. Making the country viable, safe and good for business is a prerequisite for attracting investors. But because the country is not safe and it's not attractive, you also have to proactively go to try to invite them. And when you're there, they will ask you questions to say, what have you done about X, Y, Z, or what are you going to do about it? And that gives you an opportunity to explain to them what you are doing or what you plan to do. So that's a very important thing. And I think of all things, of all the things this president is doing, the idea of going there to actively seek investment, I think is a good policy. We should not knock that. It's something that needs to be appreciated, because the tall, lanky one that left, that fair one that's going back to his village somewhere there, that one just went in a confused way. It wasn't clear what he wanted or what he's doing precisely. This new one seems to be like a proper salesman, who's going there to pitch for investment, and I think that is a good thing. He just needs to couple it with, with making sure the groundwork is good, so that when they decide to come or when they decide to take a look, what they see is not scary. So I think that's a good move. It shouldn't be knocked off. And by the way, the other option you have,
all right,
will also be looked into.
Professor, kindly hold on. Dr. Paul joins us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Paul.
Good morning, and Professor Taylor. Good morning, dear. In fact, I'm glad for the issue of unnecessary spending and globetrotting. Mr. President, Malawi President John B. this in prior to indicating that they are safe in the country. I think that is leadership. By example, discussing another platform, they say, Malawi is not Nigeria. We need Mr. President to sit there and discuss the issue of climate and talk about our idea and so on. So this is that or to have a leader that will come with sincerity, knowing his bonus and responsibility as a president, shun issue corruption, issues pandemania, and unnecessary spending of public funds. I think with this present administration, to me, I'm not going to cast aspersion yet. I will know when they will meet, then I will talk whether this is limit to the country. Because I cannot see the reason, the bit of the business, instead of them to just make the look at how they are going to approve another. Anyway, the man said it's going to start from where it stops. They are now quickly to, talk about the loan again. And when we talk about the loan amendment, I think that one to them, it doesn't mean anything, they will set it aside. So, they blame why this character is from their neck. And Nigerians as well. If we have a credible election, they no perfect election, but the one, that they do like election. People like Tinubu have never win election. And that is why for now, to make our electoral amendment a little bit okay, I will not say 100%. When you vote, know that your vote counts. They will so good to win election. Look at the situation, the minister won so-called ministerial leave for ministerial appointment. So you understand actually what he's doing? All this support this mediocrity in governance. Nothing will change the big. So this means Nigeria Nigerian economy will never have that growing. Where we have abundance of everything that makes this country move forward. Economically, everything. The nobody talking about that. And my anger living, if you borrow this money for consumption. When Buhari was there, people say the man tried to invest on the infrastructure development. I was asking, wow, maybe the mentioned Lagos, the second night they have played, blah, blah, blah. At the end, did he complete this project? And we took out the Mungos and politicians, almost 80 trillion. Nobody went for questioning. As the same boat, but they just Nigeria to run the country any way you like and think of it. Nobody will call you for questioning how you run any of nobody. I will expect that the country will be better. I personally am doubting it because there is corruption in this country, David, is unimaginable and unthinkable. Honestly, they look at it. I don't want to, because this morning, we do all this in syndrome. Governor, they look at how they are running the network. Something that is not viable that will help the citizens in what the project them back on. Everywhere, nobody is asking questions. What they are waiting for next election, and they must win. The performance of the environmental performance is no longer there. So if you have the America, you are trying to show the security again. Victory is sure. At the end, people like the bill will say that Nigeria has spoken. Or the governor, that's it. The people have elected their governor. People have elected their governor. No, the bill is not there. Not a million things. That is the problem. They have elected them. Don't ask question. Ask the senator. Who is the senator? Some of them are my friends. When they go there,
we should ask questions.
Go to their gate. They open gate for you. Or an engagement, blah, 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 blah.
All right, Dr. Paul.
If I say that we cannot continue, retreating woman every day. And then it's like water on the back of the dog. That's the problem.
Okay.
I don't know how we are going to stop this character. The nation is the problem. We are talking about Yaga, the movement they are making. But it's like those in charge in the national assembly. Bishop Elotra amendment will not be there. They want the amended. You know what we struggled before it was done. We are want another amendment. So that my vote we can.
Okay.
All these people characters we can go will not be there.
Okay.
And that was not the suppressed Labour Party.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Because of time. You too, Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul shoots me right there, saying that the likes of us who are in the media will come out and say that the people voted their choice. Oh well,
because
listen.
that was what you were going to say to him.
Well, listen. We only pass the message across, with the facts and the figures. So, if that weren't the case, I don't think we would say anything of the sort. So, but listen, Nigerians are concerned because we are Nigerians living in Nigeria, and whatever the decisions that are taken at that level, talking about the executive, which is what we're talking about right now, the intention of Mr. President to borrow further, it affects each and every one of us in one way or the other. There's another story that talks about the rising operating cost and telcos giving subscribers less for more, if you like, less value for the money that they pay, and it's quite harrowing seeing that these things are happening almost on a daily basis. So it's understandable that every Nigerian will be concerned, whether you are affiliated to the ruling party or not. Matter of fact, these days it's quite funny, the lot of drivel that is being exchanged by supporters and non-supporters of the ruling party. If you go on social media, Professor, you'd see a lot of things that would just make you laugh, with people taking the mickey out of the situation, or taking the piss, if you want to put it that way. But Professor, you want to respond to Dr. Paul's comment?
Well, I think when pain happens,
apologies, yes, Professor. Let me quickly talk to Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. Thank you for joining us. Morning.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Emmanuel from Nigeria.
Right. Talk to us.
Yeah, I've been trying to reach this station. Well, I have just a few things to say about the state of the nation. As you and I know, things are not in place, as it were, in popular Yoruba languages or adages. They say that the dead are not crying like dead, that the dogs are not barking like dogs, the goats are not bleating. So everything is in disarray right now. Hunger in the land, there's a lot of poverty, hopelessness basically on the horizon, and it's not looking out to it's going to change anytime soon. With all that is going on, what the government is doing now, borrow more money. Are they kidding us? Borrow more money, okay. The point is, even okay, people will make arguments and say borrowing is good or it's not that bad and all of that. Okay, fine, you borrow. What are you using the money you borrow for? You still use it to buy SUV for unconstitutional offices like the office of the first lady. You buy SUVs, you buy yachts. How can someone conceive such yachts, 5 billion naira? They're not investing in the future of the young people through education, through technology, but they are using it to buy yachts. Is it going to rule us on the yacht? But no, people will not sit down and talk. They will sit down and be saying, so how long are we going to continue like this? Later they will come and be bamboozling us, giving us gaslighting, a change takes pain. After it's painful, after it will be good. For how long? This was how we gave Buhari time. 8 years, meaningless 8 years. We wasted as Nigerians. The young people are the ones that are sorry for most. Now I started with this government. Giving time, it takes time. 6 months is not enough. And let me give you an analogy. I'm on a trip going to Benin, that's Edo State. And the driver, and I check my Google Map location, and I see that we are headed for Benin Republic. Me as a passenger, will I know it? Or I will keep quiet and allow him to carry me to the place that I don't know. The Nigerians are shouting, they are speaking, they are suffering, they are crying. But no, the supporters will not allow us. They will say, he's this, he's that, he's Jagaban, he did this in Lagos, he did that in Lagos, he stopped the ocean, he did that one. They are not seeing it. People are just talking for nothing. For nothing.
All right,
other countries that they are going to, other countries that they are going to, do they use prayer? The religious ones are even the worst. Do they use prayers to result? I know the media, because of the fear of NBC, they will rather sound politically correct. But it's okay. Let us continue like this and see how far we go as Nigerians. Whether people are go to the airport now, you see people are leaving. Right now as we speak. There's no hope in the land. If there was hope, would people leave? Stay and build the country, but who wants to stay? Okay. Who wants to stay in Nigeria today? 3 things. If you don't have a well-paying job, 1, or you're not from a rich or influential family, 2, or you don't have solid connect, you are going to suffer. Your suffering in Nigeria is guaranteed. That's one thing I've come to realize.
All right,
if you don't have a good job, well, I wish Nigeria all the best.
Okay, as we do too, as we all do. Hopefully we see a brighter day tomorrow. But by the way, correction. That yacht was not for the president, yeah? It's just named that because of the high-level security features, yeah? It's actually a naval boat, an operational naval boat. Professor, your thoughts?
Well, let's just wish Nigeria best. I mean, we're where we are, so we just have to make the best of it. The last caller, there's one thing he said about, if you're in a bus or in a vehicle and the driver is taking you to the wrong destination, about people commenting and in a sensible way. That's a very important thing for growth, because never mind go to the wrong direction. There's something that bothers me about passengers in this country. When the driver is driving recklessly and they keep quiet, I think we should start from those little things. Because I've always wondered, do they not see that this driver is doing something bad and the people and the passengers are quiet? I think that is a metaphor of the country itself. The fact that the passengers and the driver.
Do you wonder that still towing the line of that symbolism or that metaphor? Do you wonder that perhaps the reason why the passengers keep quiet is because they feel a sense of, if you like, quote and unquote, and I say this loosely, connection to the party in power or the individual or individuals in power in the moment, such that they feel like whether or not he or she, being the driver that is headed for a wrong turn that would turn out to be catastrophic, there would be some sort of, if you like, bunker-like insulation for them because they have a certain, if you like, connection. Whether or not they do have that, the fact that they're connected to that person, they just feel, it doesn't matter where he or she turns. That is the right direction.
As long as it is he or she.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
That can be kind of a complex situation, a complex explanation to give. The simple explanation that it is due to ignorance and poverty. The connection felt is based on ill-informed understanding of the situation. And so that is the ignorance. The poverty is because a lot of people are hoping for a miracle that also blocks the mind. You know, because you're hoping that, serendipity, something will happen. You cannot see that if you're planting corn, expecting tomatoes should not be the mindset. And I wish, the pastors who
I see what you did there, Professor, but go on.
and I do hope that the pastors who praise miracles can let people know that, miracle is not the norm in life. It's a one-off. Those are extraordinary circumstances. The real life is plant tomatoes, expect tomatoes, plant corn, expect corn. Maybe you pray it grows faster or bigger. That's what we should be seeing. So,
all right. For all your corn planters, Professor has one for you. All right, let's take the final call for the road. Hello there, welcome. Good morning. What's your name? Aha, Ibeto, welcome. Make it quick, please.
Yes, thank you, my brother. Thank you, Professor Akila. Yes, my mistake. I know as a businessman, it's normal to borrow more, okay? But you must have a time frame for which to repay back the loan. Now, and when that is not done, the lender will be after me when the time expires. Now, it's quite all right. We are borrowing. But now my concern is this. How long are we going to for some of these loans we have collected? Then another thing is this. I don't heard that the government talking about helping the small scale industry to, in whichever way, lend us some money that will help them, build some of these and create employment and let us have products that we'll be using. So that's my area of worry. Because when we borrow and use for Jamboree, I wonder how we can repay back.
All right, thank you very much, Ibeto. Professor, quickly, you want to respond to that timeline?
Well, I mean, this whole thing, it's very difficult to pick and say this is the way. I think overall, what we need to look at is to discover our citizenry and start observing things. Because, the people are really feeling hot and many things are coming out. And this side is very difficult to hold on to it. Let us keep up citizenry, which is, to watch very carefully and continue hope for the best.
All right, then. Thank you very, very, very much, Professor Anthony Killer, for joining us on the program this morning. It was a pleasure doing this with you. Yes, Business Now is up next. Aramide for Lauren Shaw would let you in on the world of business and let you know what the latest is. I am David Chiudu. Now Breakfast continues with the closer much later on after Business Now. Stay close.
Every second and every minute, something new happens. The news breaks.
People at the spot and angry mob decided to bomb.
Everyone wants to share it, but not everyone wants to dig deep. Now that's where we come in. We bring you the news and go beyond with in-depth conversations and analysis with stakeholders.
I honestly think that the federal government on its own part has broken.
If voters or more people want to be part of that decision-making process, they need to be part.
GDP is not a good measure of development anyways. We are not there. We need to counter the narrative of the fact that their vote does not count. If their vote does not count.
We bring you the story within the story, and that's what makes us tick. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, and we go beyond the news.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
From the Central Business District of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, this is 95.3 Business Now.
Wednesday, the 29th of November. A very warm welcome to the program, everyone. I am Arami Day for Lauren Shaw. Let's get started. The African Export-Import Bank and King's College London have signed a memorandum of agreement to begin a scoping study to determine the possibility of establishing a state-of-the-art medical and nursing school in Abuja, Nigeria. This medical and nursing school will serve as King's College London's main campus in Africa and produce quality medical personnel for Africa. The president of Afreximbank, Professor Benedict Orama, says this partnership holds the potential to transform Africa's healthcare sector, providing quality healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, and scientists for Africa and the world. The executive vice president of the Intra-African Trade Bank at Afreximbank, Kanayo Awani, has revealed that a total of $43.7 billion deals were recorded at the recently concluded Intra-African Trade Fair in Cairo, Egypt. Speaking at the post-IATF virtual press conference yesterday on the key successes and performance indicators from IATF 2023, Awani also noted that 28,282 guests were in attendance in both in person and online, with 1,939 exhibitors and 130 participating countries from Africa and beyond. Zenith Bank PLC has signed a memorandum of understanding with the French government to establish a subsidiary in France. According to a statement, the strategic move enables Zenith Bank through its wholly owned subsidiary Zenith Bank UK Limited to pursue regulatory approval from the Autorité de Contrôle Prudentiel et de Résolution for the establishment of a presence in France. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday called on the Nigerian Senate to deliberate and grant approval for his request to scale a loan amounting to $8.69 billion and 100 million euros. This forms part of the 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan envisioned by the federal government. In a letter read by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, President Tinubu highlighted that both the World Bank and the African Development Bank have expressed their willingness to contribute $1 billion and 1.5 billion naira respectively in support of the loan. Well, the President Bola Tinubu is set to leave Abuja today for Dubai in the United Arab Emirates to participate in the COP28 climate summit. A statement from the presidency noted that the president will participate in the two-day World Leaders Summit starting on Friday the 1st of December and deliver a national statement highlighting Nigeria's stance on various thematic issues, including renewable energy and climate financing. So coming up after the break, let's take a look at CBN's bank recapitalization plan for the $1 trillion economy. Join us again, everyone.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
On air, online, and on your mobile. This is Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Yinka Davis.
Hi, this is Shego Arinze.
Hi, my name is Jackie Appiah.
What up, peeps? It's your man Vector the Viper, KVC Lafiaji in the house.
Hey, my name is Baji.
Hi, my name is Richard Mufedamijo.
My name is Kofi Daguru.
Hello, everybody. This is Call again. Call.
I'm Okori Kingsley, and I'm Benjamin James, and we are the Cavemen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Banky W.
This is Onyeka Onwenu.
Hi, this is Rita Dominic, and you're listening to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
Welcome back, everyone. Nigeria's Central Bank Governor Olayemi Cardoso announced last Friday that the CBN will direct deposit money banks in the country to increase their capital towards achieving the country's $1 trillion economy plan. The CBN chief explained that the Nigerian banks do not have sufficient capital relative to the financial system's needs in servicing a $1 trillion economy in the near future unless action is taken. Let's bring Ayodeji Ajilore, an investor and a portfolio manager at ARM Investment Managers, to discuss what this means for local investors. Good morning, and thanks for coming through on the conversation, sir.
All right, good morning. It's a pleasure to join you.
All right. Give me your first word on the CBN's plan for the recapitalization of banks in 2024. Is this timely?
I think particularly there's no time prior to that as we speak, because it's practically just an offshoot of the fact that the economy is expected to grow, of the commitment of the recent administration or the present administration to ensure that the economy grows to a level that brings wealth to the Nigerian people. So speaking of the timeliness, I think it cannot be any much better, really. That practically just sets in motion a whole lot of ripple effect. If you look at it closely, if the banks get recapitalized, right, it literally makes a case for the fact that they will also be in a much better position to take further risk with respect to the loans that they are able to give out to people the real economy as it is today, and then how that also trickles down to improving household income. Because of course, if a business is able to access different loans, they literally will be in a much better place to improve productivity. Improve productivity means they probably will need more labor input, which means more employees, more household to get their people, and of course money flows around and helps everyone of us. But at the end of the day, if it's about the timeliness, I think it cannot get any better than we currently have.
But again, this recapitalization plan for banks doesn't mean that another consolidation phase is imminent.
It goes without saying that there is nothing, there's no crystal ball as we speak, like there's nothing particularly clear. But when you look at the books of the banking institutions, particularly the deposit money banks in Nigeria, you will see that quite a number of them are in a phase currently wherein this is not going to be catching them completely unaware. It just makes the case for the fact that those who perhaps are currently not so close or below the threshold might have reasons to maybe we see some mergers here and there, but we are not necessarily expecting that will be huge compared to what we had previously during the banking consolidation that we had under Mr. Soludo, who happens to be the governor of the CBN. And very importantly as well, we must bear in mind that the term of the third recapitalization has not yet been communicated. So we should not necessarily jump the gun. Perhaps that will now call for a situation wherein we chill a little, like they will say in the unofficial parlance, and allow those details to come into the fray before we now perhaps put some additional judgment to the conversation.
But again, as much as I would agree with you that we should not jump the gun, what are the potential impacts, for local investors like you?
Literally, the conversation is improved capital adequacy. Literally makes a case for improved, creation of loans and amongst other things there. So that what it means is literally that the value for most of these financial institutions are driven majorly by their balance sheet position. So if they have a stronger balance sheet position, it is expected that we expect that their valuation also gets some kind of improvement, right? So what that means is by that happening, we might just be having the banks in a place where they become, we have another round of attractive value proposition for them, which literally is an enticement really that will further bring investors towards them, especially even the foreign guys who might look at them and say, the current value that we've seen with banks this year, doesn't mean that's all there is to them. But when that recapitalization comes in, it helps them, one, to manage any kind of volatility that will be the case, really, if we are going to be chasing the kind of growth that the current administration is chasing, right? And then it also leaves a situation whereby it also helps us with a situation like we currently had, where we have the depreciation of the naira, which now was like giving a lot of concern for investors, really. If they are properly capitalized, right, it gives them the room to cushion the effect of such unexpected events that might happen from time to time. So those things together, when you bring it together and look at the thesis for this bank, it just practically gives the impression that, you know, the values might get better going forward, and exactly how most people are most likely going to look at it.
But I also want us, on a final note, to consider what's the pathway to attracting this capital that's needed in the banks. What would you consider the pathway to attracting the capital into the banks?
Yeah, the kind of capital we are looking at now, when we say capitalization, are usually owners' capital, really. So in the real sense, when we look at this, we are saying, okay, I might need the banks to float additional units of their stocks, particularly, which is seeming like one of the most veritable roads to go as it is today. So the point is, if it's asking for the pathway, it's just improved equity investment in those banks, which means maybe they're going to come around with some rights issue. Maybe if they have enough on their balance sheet position, they might be considering a bonus issue. The whole conversation is just around there may be a need to issue additional units of their stocks to the market. Really, those are the basic pathways that we practically can allocate or ascribe, to this kind of conversation when they come up. And you can take a cue particularly, not completely the same, but when you look at what happened with the capitalization of the insurance sector within May 2019, I think May 2019 or May 2019 about to 2021, when they were trying to improve the base capital for most of the insurance guys, you would also see that conversations were largely about increasing owner capital, which in essence is what we speak to whenever we say the capitalization of these firms.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Ayodeji Ajilore, portfolio manager at AR Investment Managers. Do have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Aramide. Have a good one.
You're welcome. So let's walk you through the Tuesday's trading day. We'll start with equities. The bears held sway as the Nigerian equities market overturned the Monday's positive outing to close the second trading day of the week in the red region. That's amidst low turnover. The benchmark all-share index lost 44 basis points to close at 71,041.29 points, and from the previous 71,353.81 points. Now, Tuesday's positive performance was primarily driven by investors' profit taking in bellwether stocks, among which are Access Corp, that was 0.55% in the red, Zenith Bank 0.42%, Jitco was also down 0.90%. We've got Nigerian Brewery 0.26%, Oando 1.71%, Dangote Cement 2.44%, and 34 other stocks kept the all-share index in the negative terrain, leading to. All right, across frontier African markets, the Egyptian main index fell sharply by 3.03%, while the Kenya burst bounced back stronger with an increase of 1.38% yesterday. Here in West Africa, we've got the regional exchange in Abidjan that posted a 0.29% were positive, while the Ghana stock market closed flattish. Meanwhile, Ghana stock market had been flattish throughout last week. However, in Southern Africa, the Zimbabwe stock market inched upwards by 1.84%. Then we've seen the JSE, that's in South Africa, that declined by 0.29% on Tuesday. So now we're back on Broad Street. Overnight lending rate among commercial banks contracted by 208 basis points to 17.2% in the absence of any significant inflow into the system. And the Nigerian Treasury Bill secondary market traded with bullish sentiment. The average yield there declined by 29 basis points to 10.2%. Well, the Treasury bond secondary market was bullish. The average yield narrowed by 16 basis points to 15.7%. And the Naira depreciated by 8.26% against the US dollar in the Nigerian foreign exchange markets and autonomous foreign exchange markets, closing at the rate of 881 Naira 88 kobo against the US dollar. Well, quickly looking at oil prices, which rose on Wednesday as a storm in the Black Sea region disrupted oil exports from Kazakhstan and Russia, raising fears of supply tightness while investors awaited a crucial decision by OPEC Plus, which may deepen or extend output. Because now Brent crude futures gained 33 cents or 0.4% at $82.01 a barrel, and the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 45 cents or 0.6% to $76.86 a barrel. Well, that's your business now for today. Thank you so much for listening. I am Aramide Folorunsho. It's bye for now.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Chris. I'm a trader operating a chain of supermarkets. I engage in monthly comfortable contributions with my insurance company. It gave me the opportunity to inject capital into my business during peak periods and reap handsome returns. I never knew that an insurance company can be that helpful. Kudos to Mutual Benefits Assurance for such innovative and business-sustaining insurance